Sovieshu almost kisses Navier, but she stops him instantly. Meanwhile, Rashta's jealousy spirals out of control, and one tea party ends with rumors that could shake the entire empire. Right where we left off, Sovieshu kisses Navier's neck. Navier turns toward him, and for a moment, it seems like they're about to kiss. But then, she suddenly slams the music box shut. Sovieshu immediately pulls away, surprised. Empress? Navier's expression turns stern, and without another word, he understands and takes his distance. Then Navier calmly tells him, the Empress is sometimes not a spouse, but simply a colleague. A spouse is also a colleague, someone who walks through life together. But Sovieshu disagrees. If your spouse and colleague are the same, then what's the point of marriage? And with that, he walks away. Later, Navier asks to eat alone. As she quietly has dinner, she reflects on everything happening between them, realizing she and Sovieshu somehow seem to be drifting back toward where they started. Then suddenly, she sees Queen outside the window. Navier immediately opens it, and Queen gently wraps his wing around her head, almost as if he's trying to comfort her. The gesture warms her heart. She kisses Queen softly and smiles, saying she might not even be able to live without him anymore. Queen flinches in surprise, but clearly likes it. Navier affectionately wonders where Heinrey found such a beautiful bird, and Queen proudly shows himself off. The atmosphere becomes light and cute, until a lady in waiting suddenly rushes in. The emperor has collapsed. Sovieshu has been moved to an empty room, and the doctor has already been called. Navier instantly takes control of the situation. She orders messengers to inform the capital and the court, then tell the servant to give Queen some water. She gently tells Queen to drink, rest, and return later. But Queen only stares at her sadly as she leaves. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Viscount Loteshu meets with Rashta and demands money. Rashta is outraged. He hasn't even done anything yet, and he's already asking for payment. But Loteshu argues that he raised, fed, and clothed her child. To him, it's only natural she supports him financially. Reluctantly, Rashta agrees. When he says she can pay with jewels if she lacks money, Rashta gets 3 of her rings and hands them over. Still, she needs confirmation that the child truly belongs to her. Before leaving, Loteshu gives her one more warning. The Emperor and Empress are spending time together, and if Navier wins back Sovieshu's heart, Rashta could lose everything. That evening, Rashta learns that Sovieshu will not be returning the next day because he's sick. But after hearing Loteshu's warning, her imagination spirals out of control. Instead of believing he's ill, she convinces herself Sovieshu is simply enjoying his time with Navier too much to come back. Desperate, she asks Baralante for permission to visit the royal villa and personally care for the emperor. But he refuses. Then Duke Ergy quietly adds fuel to her jealousy. He hints that Sovieshu and Navier may truly be growing closer again, before giving Rashta a certain suggestion. Back at the royal villa, Navier personally tends to Sovieshu. The doctor explains his fever is caused by overwork and exhaustion. Sovieshu admits he hasn't been sleeping properly. Navier quietly comments that perhaps they shouldn't have come to the villa in the first place. Sovieshu apologizes for ruining her birthday. But Navier tells him not to worry. Birthdays happen every year. Only once a year, Sovieshu replies softly. Then he says, talking to you feels like, and Navier immediately finishes the sentence for him. Talking with your colleague? The sarcasm is impossible to miss. The doctor advises more rest, and Navier asks whether she should summon Rashta. Sovieshu immediately asks if she's being sarcastic again. Then he admits something unexpected. Rashta may be cute and interesting to talk to, but he cannot truly rest peacefully around her. Right now, he only wants peace and quiet. And Navier realizes Rashta would probably be devastated if she ever heard that. A week later, they finally return to the palace. The moment Sovieshu arrives, Rashta rushes toward him in tears, hugging him tightly in panic. Navier watches briefly, then silently turns away to handle the mountain of work waiting for her. The next few days pass peacefully. Navier finishes not only her own duties, but some of Sovieshu's as well. Then comes Duchess Tuanya's tea party. Everything changes the moment Duke Ergy arrives late, with Rashta beside him. The atmosphere immediately becomes tense. Duchess Tuanya clearly wasn't informed that Rashta would be attending, but Duke Ergy smoothly explains that he thought it would help Rashta socialize at an open tea gathering. Navier realizes she cannot leave first. If she does, rumors will spread immediately. The conversation eventually shifts toward Lady Alessia. Rashta innocently asks who that is. Everyone turns toward her. Someone explains that Lady Alessia was once a noblewoman and the former king's concubine. Then Duke Ergy casually adds that she was eventually abandoned after the king grew tired of her. The statement visibly shocks Rashta. And then, Rashta says something incredibly dangerous. I heard nobles usually have many flings, so that must be normal. Some of the male nobles agree that concubines and affairs aren't uncommon in political marriages. Then Rashta smiles sweetly and says, what surprised Rashta most is that Duchess Tuanya has 5 flings. Silence. Duchess Tuanya immediately slams her fork onto the plate. Rashta pretends to panic. Oh, did Rashta say something wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. Duke Ergy apologizes smoothly, claiming Rashta simply repeated rumors she overheard and still lacks noble etiquette. But Duchess Tuanya has had enough. She stands and coldly says, if you bring someone who doesn't know etiquette, at least teach her how to pretend not to know things. Don't spread baseless rumors. Then she respectfully bows to Navier before abruptly ending the tea party. And that's exactly what terrifies Navier. Duchess Tuanya spent 20 years building a flawless reputation without making a single enemy. Now, thanks to Rashta's words, another wave of terrible rumors is about to spread across noble society. Later, Rashta wonders if this scandal would damage Duchess Tuanya's reputation. But Duke Ergy doesn't think so. Instead, he asks if Rashta can continue spreading rumors on her own now. Rashta confidently says she's good at things like this, which only makes Duke Ergy laugh. Duke Ergy leaves Rashta's room. He waits for Navier. When he sees her, he reveals that he had been actually waiting 3 hours just to speak with her. Then he brings up Heinrey. Navier tries avoiding the topic, But Duke Ergy teasingly tells her that Heinrey always talks badly about him to people he likes. Navier has absolutely no idea what he means. Then Duke Ergy suddenly becomes serious. He warns her that Heinrey is two-faced, a man capable of smiling warmly while hurting others behind the scenes. Then he reveals something shocking. Heinrey was the one who invited him here in the first place. And for years, Heinrey has apparently been preparing something. But before Duke Ergy can finish explaining, Sovieshu interrupts them. After Duke Ergy leaves, Sovieshu stares at Navier suspiciously. I am certain now. The Empress likes foreigners. Absolutely ridiculous. He warns her not to trust men simply because they speak well. So Navier asks him directly, what kind of man is a good man? Sovieshu confidently answers himself. Navier's expression says everything. Then, sarcastically, she replies that perhaps she should look for a handsome young man from the Eastern Kingdom instead. And somehow, Sovieshu simply accepts it. But Navier's thought remains elsewhere. What exactly did Duke Ergy mean when he said Heinrey had been preparing something for years? She decides she'll have to ask Heinrey directly. Meanwhile, in Sovieshu's chamber, he brings up to Rashta Duke Ergy. Sovieshu mentions seeing Duke Ergy and Navier talking earlier and wonders if they become close. Rashta immediately remembers Duke Ergy once asking her, "Shall I seduce the Empress?" But instead of revealing that, she sweetly reassures Sovieshu that Navier and Duke Ergy are not close at all. Ironically, Sovieshu misunderstands this as Rashta defending Navier. Then Sovieshu suddenly asks why Rashta isn't wearing the special ring he gave her, the ring with the red jewels, the same ring she secretly handed over to Loteshu. Sovieshu reveals the ring has magical properties. If worn consistently, it can even erase scars. Internally panicking, Rashta dramatically throws herself onto the bed and lies that she gave it away to a poor maid. Sovieshu simply laughs it off. Then Rashta immediately asks whether he has another one. But Sovieshu tells her the Empress owns the other ring. Still, if he ever gets another one, he'll give it to Rashta. Later, Rashta confronts Loteshu and demands to know where the ring went. He casually admits he sold it. After all, she gave it to him. Furious, Rashta reminds him they are now partners and demands he treats her with respect. Then she gives him a new order. Find Duchess Tuania's weakness. Sovieshu may insist Rashta is the woman he loves, but around Navier, old feelings continue resurfacing. Meanwhile, Rashta's desperation is driving her into increasingly dangerous territory. And with Duke Ergy and Loteshu quietly manipulating events from the shadows, something far bigger may already be unfolding behind the scenes, especially now that Heinrey's name has entered the conversation. If you enjoyed this episode of The Remarried Empress, make sure to subscribe and follow for episode 11, because the tension between Navier, Sovieshu, Rashta, and Heinrey is only getting worse from here. Thank you for listening to Manga with May. I'll see you in the next episode.